Tennessee Titans desperately need help at edge rusher, and if James Pearce Jr. is available at 35, the Titans cannot pass. I'll break it down on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, on today's show, we are going to break down the edge rusher group in the NFL draft. We've done the entire offensive side of the ball, every single position. If you missed any of those episodes, go back and check those out before the draft shows up next week. But we are starting on the defense today, and edge rusher is one of the biggest positions of need for the Titans. I'm going to go over the top names. I'm going to go over the best fits for the Titans on day 2. I'm going to talk about the day 3 group that I think is just okay, and hopefully the Titans attack edge rusher before day 3 even arrives. But before we get into all of that, I do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. You're not going to beat that anywhere else. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one. Again, breaking down every position, going over 20 to 30 guys at every single spot in the NFL draft. Next week, I'm going to have an episode going over the Titans' 30 visits so you know who they visited with leading up to the draft. I'm going to talk about my ideal realistic mock draft for the Tennessee Titans. We're going to have a full draft preview, so make sure, again, that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. With that being said, though, the top names in the draft at edge, in my opinion, are names that the Tennessee Titans are not going to have the opportunity to draft. They're taking Cam Ward number 1 overall, so that means no Abdul Carter, the absolute freak out of Penn State, who is my number 1 overall player in the draft class. Jalen Walker out of Georgia, who is kind of like a hybrid linebacker. He can play off-ball linebacker. He can rush the passer. I don't think either of those guys are getting anywhere close to the Titans' second-round pick at 35, or even close to being somebody who the Titans could trade up and get at the end of the first round. Abdul Carter and Jalen Walker are going to go really, really early in the NFL draft. Now, Jalen Walker, I'm not as high on, but that's a conversation for a different day. However, the other top names in the draft, I think there is somewhat of a chance that one of these guys could drop to a place where maybe the Titans could trade up to get them. But I don't think any of the names that I'm about to give you are names that will be available at pick number 35. Mykel Williams out of Georgia, 6'5", 267, versatile prototype power edge guy. Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M, 6'5", 270. This is one of the most elite athletes we've ever seen come into the NFL. But Shamar Stewart has not showed at the college level that he could actually consistently win in pass rush and get to the quarterback. Like, he just hasn't shown his ability to do that. Reminds me of Odafe Owe out of Penn State. Elite length, size, measurables, testing, everything off the charts RAS score, but just didn't put it together in college enough, but maybe he can at the NFL level. Mike Green went to Virginia, transferred to Marshall, 6'3", 251 pounds. He is a polished speed rusher. He is ready to go and terrorize quarterbacks right now. But there are off-the-field concerns. You look at what happened with Virginia, what he was alleged of, you know, some of the stuff at Marshall. Like, that is a major character concern there if you feel comfortable. He's got all the talent in the world to go top 15. But regardless, I don't think any of those 5 names that I've talked about are going to drop further enough down for the Titans to have a shot at him. Now, James Pearce Jr. out of Tennessee, 6'5", 248 pounds. He's another guy who I doubt gets to pick number 35. But maybe he gets to 30, and maybe the Titans can make a move up. Maybe he does get to 35 because people are worried about the off-field character issues with a guy like James Pearce Jr. out of Tennessee. Now, that dude is going to get to the quarterback. He's 6'5", 250. He fits exactly what the Tennessee Titans want. A big, long edge. You add about 10 pounds on him. Now we're talking. But Either way, if one of those guys falls to 35, the Titans need to run to the podium and get them. Now, the odds are that those guys will not be there. So if the Titans look to take an edge rusher in round 2 of the draft, these are the names that you need to be ready for. Donovan Azaraku out of Boston College, 6'2", 248 pounds. He is a productive speed rusher. He was very productive at Boston College, put up a ton of good numbers. He has great length with 34.5-inch arms. He can bend around the edge, which is key for a speed rusher. He has a nice cross chop move, which is basically where you use your hands and you chop sideways to knock off the offensive lineman's hands. He has all of that in the bag, but he does not have power. He's not explosive off the line of scrimmage. He's not going to be a guy who can physically set the edge. He doesn't have a bull rush to go to. So to me, Donovan Ezaraku at 6'2", 248 pounds, he is not the big physical edge rusher that the Tennessee Titans are now looking for within their scheme. I do not think that Azaraku would be a fit for the Titans, but the talent is such that maybe they would take a chance on him at 35. Nick Scourton, out of Texas A&M, a guy who was expected to be one of the top pass rushers in this year's draft and just didn't live up to that hype. He's 6'2", 275 pounds, so a little short, but he's stocky. He's a savvy rusher without elite athleticism. All right. He's productive. He was so productive in college. Constant pressures on the quarterback. He has a good move set. He plays with great motor. The way he's able to strike offensive linemen, the way he's able to pursue backside in the run game. Like, Scourton has a lot to like, but he just doesn't have great length, doesn't have an explosive first step, is not going to be somebody who wins with a bull rush, can get knocked off balance with contact in the run game or his pass rush loop. Like, there are definitely concerns there with Scourton that he just doesn't have the athletic upside to go with all the other things he does bring to the table. But he is a savvy rusher who I think will be ready to rush the passer right away in the NFL, but he's probably not ready to be a 3-down edge rusher. Now, Landon Jackson out of Arkansas, I think is a guy who makes a lot of sense for the Tennessee Titans. A lot of sense. 6'6", 260 pounds. See, big, physical edge rusher. And he's a balanced player. Pretty good against the run. Can make some waves against the pass. He actually moves laterally pretty well for a guy his size. Great size. He is strong as an ox, man. Landon Jackson is going to set the edge in the run game, in run defense, and he's super smart. He can read into the backfield, anticipate things, understands what offenses are trying to do. Very smart player. He just is not a very good pass rusher, in my opinion. I mean, you look at some of the advanced analytics on his pass rush win rate and his pressure rate, some of the worst in the class. All right, Landon Jackson is a guy who just does not get pressure on the quarterback at the rate that you would want from a guy you're taking at pick number 35. He doesn't have solid pass rush move set. He's not an elite athlete, doesn't have good burst off the line of scrimmage, and he's tall. So some guys can get underneath him and he'll lose that leverage battle. Look, I really like Landon Jackson, but not at 35. We start to talk about Devin Ezaraku. I could see the Titans doing that at 35. But Nick Scourton, Landon Jackson, any of the 3 people I'm about to go over here, 4 guys' names that we're going to go over here shortly, you know, those guys would all be in a trade back. And now your second round pick isn't 35, it's 40, it's 45, it's 50. That's 40 is the highest I would take Landon Jackson, pick number 40. All right. And then next you look at JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State. Tuimoloau from Ohio State, 6'4", 265, another guy who I think fits the big physical edge mold that the Titans are looking for. This is a savvy, reliable rusher. He doesn't have great bend. He could be a little bit stiff. Okay? A lot of his sacks in production were cleanup sacks. But he's got great length, really polished move set off the edge, sets a firm edge in run defense, and is a very smart player coming out of Ohio State. All right? I think that we're talking about pick 50 or lower because the athletic upside is limited, but JT Tuimoloau does make sense for the Tennessee Titans as a fit. Princely Umami Ellen is a guy who I just have a hard time disliking, but I also recognize that I don't think he's a very good fit for the Titans. He's 6'3", 244 pounds. So he's a slim guy, but he's a developmental speed rusher. He has incredible speed, incredible physicality for a guy his size. He was incredibly productive at Ole Miss as a pass rusher. Great length. He's explosive off the line of scrimmage. But he's thin and slim. He doesn't set a firm edge, and he does not have a polished rush set. He has the cross chop, and that is it. Literally, cross chop, cross chop, cross chop, cross chop, cross chop. Now, he's going to win with it. He's going to win with it a lot. But when he gets to the NFL, he's got to develop a different kind of move. Jack Sawyer from Ohio State, 6'4", 260, fits the big physical mold, but I don't know if I'm taking Jack Sawyer until the third round. He's reliable. He has great balance. He's a strong player. He's clutch. He makes big plays in big moments. He's smart. He's just not athletic, doesn't have great length. He doesn't have anything special about him physically. He's just a smart, reliable, big player in Jack Sawyer. Now, the last guy I want to mention is Bradyn Swinson. And honestly, I would probably take Bradyn Swinson closer to pick 50. I would take Swinson over Tuimalau, Umami-Ellen, and Sawyer. I would take Swinson right there with Landon Jackson and Nick Scowerton. Swinson out of LSU, 6'3", 255 pounds. He is a high upside speed power rusher. Productive at LSU, creating pressure. Now, it was only for 1 year. He was a fifth-year blow-up guy, but was productive. Bounces off the line of scrimmage with great burst. Has speed, has power. He has a move set. He's got to refine it. He's got to get better with his moves, but he has a good move set. He shoots gaps in the run game. Look, he's just not huge. He probably isn't going to set a firm edge in the run game his first year in the NFL. Again, he did kind of blow up in his fifth year. Is it a man amongst boys situation with Bradyn Swinson? That's all in the conversation. But with a guy at 6'3", 255 pounds, that's big enough to me. You're productive in college, bounce off the line of scrimmage. You got speed, power. You show moves. You shoot gaps. You're physical. You're violent with your hands. Bradyn Swinson is one of my guys in this draft. And if the Tennessee Titans were to get him with a second-round pick after a trade down, I would be very, very happy. But there are other guys on day 2 who I think also make sense. They're just more pure third-round edge rushers, and we're going to dive into it now. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when your clock hits 5. Your business is always on your mind, which means it's time to hire, or when it's time to hire, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do, and that's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates all in one place. Post your job. It's LinkedIn's new feature that can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pro tip. Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find high quality hires. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, breaking down the edge rusher group in the NFL draft. We talked about the top guys in the draft and how if any of them fall to the Titans pick at 35, they have to take them. But we talked about the more likely options on day 2. Again, I like Landon Jackson, JT Tuimalau from Ohio State, Bradyn Swinson, Princely Umami-Ellen. Those are some of my favorite guys that would be early options on day 2 for the Titans. But now I want to talk about some guys who I think could be available later on day 2. So here's how I try to think about it. Who would I take at 35? I told you, the top guys. If any of them fall, I'll take them. Then, who would I take if the Titans trade back in the second round and pick up a third rounder? Who would I take with the new second rounder a little bit later than 35? And again, I just went over those names with you. Azaraku, Skoughton, Jackson, Tolomalau, Umami Ellen, Sawyer, Swinson. But now what I want to look at is if the Tennessee Titans take an edge rusher with a third round pick that they either acquired in a trade back or acquired in a trade up. If the Titans get an additional third round pick, these are the names that I think make the most sense. Number one, Jordan Burch out of Oregon, 6'4", 282 pounds. He is a physically limited run defender. Great length, great size, very strong. He shows a good understanding of different moves. He has a good bull rush. He can set a firm edge because of his size and his strength. He has good pop in his hands when he puts them on people. But again, he is a physically limited run defender. Doesn't have great bend. Doesn't have great production. I mean, he doesn't have great production against the run or the pass. He just doesn't play with a lot of violence and a lot of juice, I guess. Like, he's not very explosive. He's not very violent. But he is a big physical edge defender, 6'4", 282 pounds, who could eventually maybe take over for a guy like Lorenzo Carter. Again, a physical run defender who doesn't offer much upside athletically or as a pass rusher. The next guy I want to mention is Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina. Now, this is a guy who I think is a fit for the Titans. All right. They met with him at the combine. Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina, 6'4", 260 pounds. Check, check. He is a high energy rotational rusher. Violence, great motor. This guy's motor runs hot all the time. He explodes off the ball and sets a firm edge. Great in pursuit from the backside, running after the ball carrier. Problem is, not very strong. Another guy didn't really blow up and start being really productive until his fifth year. So is it a man amongst boys thing? Again, violent hands, shoots gaps, great motor, explosive off the line of scrimmage. He just isn't super strong, doesn't have great bend. And is it real? Can he do it at the NFL level? He didn't do it until he was a lot bigger and older than other guys. So that does make you wonder. Now, Josiah Stewart out of Michigan, not quite the same conversation. 6'1", 249 pounds. That is undersized. I do not think the Tennessee Titans will be interested. But what I will tell you is this. For a guy that size, boy, he is violent. All right? Great violence, great motor. Explodes off the line of scrimmage. Can set a firm edge. Even though he's only 6'1", 249 pounds, he sets a violent edge on his college tape. But the problem here is he has short arms. So when you're short and you have short arms, he doesn't show that he has a diverse move set at the NFL level. And he set a good edge in college. But at 250 pounds, 6'1", with short arms, are you going to be able to be violent enough to set the edge at the NFL level? I don't know. Look, Josiah Stewart is a guy I would be happy with if they took him. I just don't think he fits what the Tennessee Titans are looking for. Now, a guy who does is Jared Ivey out of Ole Miss. Ivey is a guy who does check all the boxes physically. 6'5", 274. Massive run stopper is what I put in my notes. Great size, great length. He shows that he does have a diverse move set. Like, he has a couple of different pass rush moves that he can go to. He has some secondary pass. Like, it's not just about throwing one pass rush move. Sometimes you got to throw multiple together, and he can sequence and go to secondary reactions. Like, he doesn't just end when his first move doesn't work. Very strong, sets that firm physical edge in the run game. He's just not a super explosive athlete. He doesn't have a speed move around the edge. He's big and tall, so he can get a little high with his pad level. But again, the size, the length, the move set, the motor, the energy, the run stopping ability. Give me that guy all day. Give me that guy right away. Jared Ivey out of Ole Miss. Now, one of my favorite players in the entire NFL draft is Femi Oladejo out of UCLA. Different type of player than what we just talked about with Jared Ivey, who's a big physical run stopper. Femi Oladejo is a high upside speed power rusher. 6'3", 261 pounds. He was an off-ball linebacker for his first 2 years at UCLA, so immense upside as an edge rusher. He has great length. He has a good, sturdy, solid frame at 6'3", 260. He showed the ability to use a little bit of pass rush moves, which gives you hope that he can continue to develop. But he plays with violent hands. He shoots gaps. And because he was an off-ball linebacker, he has the ability to drop back in coverage. With the Titans zone blitzes that they run under Denard Wilson, that's a good fit. But again, he spent 2 years as an off-ball linebacker. He kind of tallied back and forth at times. So he's inexperienced as an edge rusher, which is probably going to get him dropped down. He doesn't have a good pass rush plan. He doesn't play with good technique with his moves and his hands, but he shows the willingness to do it. So I think Femi Oladejo is a guy who I think should get taken a little higher than he's going to, but I think could be there for the Titans in round 3 if they're able to acquire a third-round pick. But I love the high-end upside of a guy like Femi Oladejo, and you can use those skills from his previous life as an off-ball linebacker, and you can use that within your scheme. So he's a fit for multiple reasons. Ashton Gillette out of Louisville is another guy I think is in this third-round range. 6'2", 264 pounds. I think he's a day one power rusher. Like right away, day one, he's going to be able to go out there and give you some pass rush production. He has a great frame. He's a very polished pass rusher with moves and understanding. Plays with violence. Plays with effort. He just doesn't have great length, great bend, great burst. Because his arms are short, he has trouble shedding blocks at times. So I don't think he's going to be that great against the run, but I think he could immediately come in and be a rotational pass rusher. And he can play with power. So I think he could have value in day 3 as someone who's ready to play right away. The last guy is another guy who's ready to play right away. It's David Walker out of Central Arkansas. He's only 6 foot, 260 pounds. He is a tiny tank, basically. He's very powerful. He has good bend, but he played at Central Arkansas, and he's 6 foot tall. So he's not going to go until day 3, most likely, but maybe somebody will take him in day 4 early, but I don't think he's a fit for the Titans. But again, Jordan Birch, Kyle Kennard, Jared Ivey, Femi Oladejo, I think they're all great fits for the Titans in round 3. But if the Titans don't get an edge rusher in the first 3 rounds, there aren't as many good options left, folks. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get, I'm so excited, to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Again, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether I'm picking the Lakers to win the series, which they're going to do, or I'm looking at some player props like Luka Doncic 3-pointers or LeBron James assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet my favorite player props. Plus, even after the game tips off, you can combine your live prop bets into a same game parlay for a chance to win big. Plus, the play-in games are happening before the playoffs kick off. next weekend, like, it's the perfect time. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Once again, that's FanDuel.com. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, looking at the edge rusher group in the NFL draft. We talked about the top guys and the guys that I would take in the second round for the Titans. We talked about the guys I would take in the third round for the Titans. Now I want to talk about the day 3 options, and I got to tell you, my enthusiasm for the day 3 picks drops significantly, and I'll explain why. Before I do want to thank you again for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed. Stay subscribed. It's your team every day. For your second listen, check out Locked On NFL Draft. Obviously, the right time to check out Locked On NFL Draft. I don't even need to sell it to you. But again, we're looking at the day 3 options right now. And top of the list for me, I would take this player at pick 120. Savion Jones out of LSU. He is a tweener with potential, is what I would call it. 6'5", 283 pounds. So he is massive. He is a monster. He has great size. He has great length. He plays with excellent motor, which that's really important to me as we get later in the draft. I want high energy, high effort players. All right. I'm not taking anybody on day 3 who has a motor issue. All right. If I'm taking you at the end of the draft, you better be somebody who works your behind off every single snap. We have no room for late round draft picks who don't give maximum effort at all times. Okay. I'll take a guy with immense talent who maybe I need to inspire him a little bit. But these guys you got to be on your P's and Q's for everything. If you're a low value player, which is what players who go on day 3 and get undrafted free agent, that's what they ultimately are. They're low valued players. So you got to do everything to overcome that. And Savion Jones is going to do that. He has great strength, speed to power. He can set a firm edge. He has good bend for a guy who's 280 pounds, man. It's pretty impressive. Now, another guy who didn't break out until his last year of college, really only one good year. He's not going to burst off the line of scrimmage. He is not a guy who has a developed pass rush move set. And I think the IQ and run defense has to be better, okay? He's got to be developed. But the size, the length, the motor, the edge setting, the bend for a guy that size, 6'5", 283, a perfect fit for the Titans on day 3 of the NFL draft, a guy like Savion Jones. Barron Sorrell out of Texas is another guy who I'm just not quite as interested in. 6'3", 256 pounds, so doesn't really check some of the size boxes that I think the Titans are looking for, but he could be a balanced rotational defensive end. Good frame, strong hands. He can get off blocks because of the frame and the hands. Just doesn't have great speed, doesn't have pass rush moves. Like, he is just a low-end rotational guy who can give you some decent stuff against the run and will play with effort in the pass, even if he's not super talented. Tyler Barron out of Miami, another guy, 6'4", 262 pounds, super physical, good in run defense, not a good pass rusher. Not a good pass rusher. And there's injury concerns. Not for me. Antoine Powell-Ryland. Now, we're talking about guys who I would not take at 120 or 141. Now we're talking about guys in the 6th round. These are 6th round prospects for the Titans. Pick 167, pick 178, pick 188. That's what we're talking about with this group of guys. Antoine Powell-Ryland out of Virginia Tech, 6'2", 264. He is an undersized, polished rusher. He is very polished, okay? Moves, understanding, setup, counters, all of that stuff. He's just not very strong. He's not very big. He has no elite athletic traits. Antoine Powell-Ryland is a guy who I think will be a very good backup pass rusher. Like, just from day one, right away, he's ready to play. He's experienced, but he's just not a guy with high-end upside. So that's why he's going to be a 6th-round pick. Elijah Roberts is a guy who I think would make a ton of sense for the Titans, and they met with Elijah Roberts at the Combine. 6'3", 290 pounds out of SMU. He is a power rusher with excellent length. He is limited athletically, okay? He needs to play with a little bit better motor, quite honestly, which is why I would have him this late in the draft. But the Titans did meet with him, so maybe the Titans met with him and asked about that motor concern. Like, hey, man, you're strong, you're big, you're physical, you got length. Why aren't you playing harder? That's a good question to ask. Ja Joyner, who I talked about in a recent mock draft from Minnesota, 6'4", 260, check for the size. He is a bendy speed rusher with length. He just isn't very productive. Doesn't have any moves, not very strong in his lower body. So you need to develop more strength in the lower body, teaching some pass rush moves to get more production out of him. But, I mean, pick 178, pick 188, a 6'4", 260-pound edge with bend and length. Sure. I'll give it a shot at that point. I mean, we're throwing darts now. The last guy I want to mention, and look, I went over 27 edge rushers today. If I did not mention someone, they need to play better. How about that? Okay? If there's someone who you like, who I didn't mention, tell them to play better in college. And I can get them in 27 different names that I go over in 33 minutes. All right? But anyway, I got to talk about Fadil Diggs. It's the last person I want to talk about because I think he's a fit for the Titans and would be a great pick on day 3. Late on day 3. 6'4", 259 pounds. Out of Syracuse. He is a rotational power rusher. Great size. Great length. Great motor. He showed a willingness to try pass rush moves, but he is technically unrefined as it comes. Zero plan. Seems very lost when he's trying to put moves together. Doesn't have bend. I would say needs like more awareness, more football IQ of what he's seeing so he can utilize the gifts that he does have with the size and the length. He could utilize those better with better technique and better coaching. So pick 167, pick 178, pick 188. They want to take a chance on Fadil Diggs. I'm all for it. But that's the edge rush group. It's a really good edge rush group. I expect the Titans to get 1, if not 2. Again, day 2, I think is the sweet spot for the Titans to get one of these edges. But with that being said, let me know your favorite edge rushers down below. That's going to do it for me today, folks. I'll be back tomorrow with interior defensive line and linebacker. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.